AITA for watching and doing nothing to help my husband when he was extremely ill. My 27F husband, Tim, 36 meters, has a serious dairy allergy. I'm talking about an actual immune system reaction, not intolerance. His allergy is serious enough to cause acute enterocolitis, but he hasn't needed an EpiPen since he was a kid. I work full-time and also have some seasonal work this holiday season because Tim has been without work, and money has been very tight. As a result, I barely get to rest. The holiday are especially hard, and I found myself getting just one day off every 2 weeks for almost 2 months straight. As you can imagine, that day off means the universe to me. Now, Tim loves dairy, and will sometimes intentionally eat things which trigger his allergy. Lately, it's gotten out of hand, with him going from one risky meal every 4 to 6 months, to every 2 or so weeks. In fact, it always seemed to coincidentally line up with my time off, and I found myself spending my one day taking care of him. Last week, I finally asked him if he was intentionally timing it to line up with my day off. I fully expected him to say no, but he admitted that he was doing it to make sure that he'd have a nurse, and so he'd have someone close by in case he had an especially adverse reaction and needed a hospital. I was livid, and told him that he was selfish, robbing me of my rest. I said that if he made himself sick again, I wouldn't take care of him. I'm exhausted and I need to decompress. He didn't say much, so I thought he'd heard me. Fast forward to Friday night. I get home from work, and a few minutes in, Tim gets a pizza delivered. I ask him why, when I'm making dinner, and he shrugs. I ask if a large garlic Alfredo pizza is worth the pain, and remind him that I won't be giving up my rest day again. He smirks and eats an entire slice while grinning at me. I left it at that and went back to my dinner. Predictably, he got sick, profusely vomiting, retching and groaning from the intense cramping and diarrhea. I slept in the guest room to get away from the sound and smell. He called for me several times and I repeatedly told him no. Hours later, he was still sick and woke me up at the crack of dawn to go get him Pedialyte and meds because he was very dehydrated and still in pain. I told him to order it in and asked him to get out and let me sleep. He was still whimpering when I eventually got up to shower and eat. Again, I did nothing to help or comfort him. By evening, he was sulking, and by morning when I had to work, he was enraged. He yelled, and by the end of the day he'd told our friends and family that he nearly died and I neglected him. His family accused me of passively trying to kill him. His mom called, shouting that he could have had a life-threatening reaction due to my petty actions, and that I'm a shitwife for not minding his health. I'm starting to feel guilty because she's right and he could have been seriously hurt. TLDR. AITA for doing nothing to help my husband after he suffered an acute allergic reaction which he intentionally triggered. NTA. You'd think on your only day off he would want to spend some actual time with you and not puking and crapping all day. I hope it was a wake-up call to him. Next time he eats that pizza, smiling, grab your phone and take a video to send to his mom to let her know he's going to need her assistance tomorrow. NTA. And reading this was honestly disturbing. This man is willing to risk his own life to manipulate you into taking care of him. Is that really someone you want to be married to? NTA. Remind him and his family what his actions are saying. My desire to have dairy means more to me than my wife's health and rest. And I'd rather spend the one day off my wife and I share miserable and vomiting than spending time with her or taking care of her for once. He needs to know how horrible this behavior is and how disrespectful it is to you and your marriage. NTA. He created this emergency. There are plenty of dairy alternatives and dairy-free cheeses. This seems more like he is harming himself to try to keep your attention and prevent you from having free time, and if that is the case, it's extremely manipulative. Also, calling you a shitwife for not mothering your husband is ridiculous. He's a grown-ass man. He is in charge of his own health. If anything, she is a bad mother for not teaching her son responsibility over himself. She didn't teach him to not eat food that actually poisons him. It is dairy for him, but replace dairy with any other typical poison and she should realize how ridiculous it is to insinuate that this is at all your responsibility. It wouldn't be your fault if he was habitually chugging bleach. This is no different. Greater than his family accused me of passively trying to kill him. No, he is trying to passively kill himself. Greater than he could have had a life-threatening reaction due to my petty actions. No, due to his own actions. Greater than now, Tim loves dairy, and will sometimes intentionally eat things which trigger his allergy. Yes, his own actions. Greater than he smirks and eats an entire slice while grinning at me which he knows are bad and are harming you. This is straight-up emotional abuse. He is purposefully sabotaging your days off while you are the only one working, then sics his family on you when you protest. He obviously lied about the situation to his mother, who he knows is overprotective and coddling. How old is she? Using her as an attack dog is manipulative to her too. Therapy will not fix abuse. I know it sounds a bit extreme, but you probably will find you need to get away from this man, that he is not worth your time because he doesn't value you as a person. I don't mean to be harsh, but the 9-year age gap also makes it seem like he is knowingly taking advantage of you, especially if you were much younger when you started dating. I hope you divorce him, honestly. He is literally toying with his own death and treating it like a game. You are not responsible for fixing this man. NTA, obviously. What is wrong with your husband that he willfully makes himself this ill once a fortnight? I'm an absolute fiend for cheese, I am. And I know that some people with intolerances sometimes risk it or cop some vomiting once in a while just to treat themselves, the keyword being sometimes asterisk. But every 2 weeks? When it leaves him retching and cramping and vomiting. If someone was doing that to themselves with alcohol fortnightly, you'd say they have a binge drinking problem. The man has issues. He's also a fool for not getting himself rehydration salts and painkillers and whatever before he made himself sick, since he knew he was going to do it. If I know I'm drinking enough to be hungover, that tea is next to my bed before I go to sleep, because even though I'm DUDMB enough to get a hangover sometimes, I'm no longer such an idiot as to not be able to prepare myself. PSNTA, obviously. Info. Why not call his precious mother when he eats this way? You can simply say, he's eating a gigantic slice of Alfredo pizza. You might need to get over here before the symptoms start, and plan on spending all night. When she arrives, you leave for a hotel. Believe me, after a few all-nighters, she too will be not so eager to put up with his shenanigans. Seriously though, he needs serious mental health care if he refuses to stop doing this to himself and to you. NTA, there are non-dairy options for everything, he needs to grow the fuck up. NTA, you noticed the pattern and confronted him. After he admitted it, you warned him that you would not be his nursemaid again, so he decided to do it anyway whilst giving you a shit-eating grin. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You warned him and you followed through. Setting his family on you makes him double the asshole and should have you considering if you actually want to stay with him, as he clearly has no respect for your time off or for you as a person. Hugs. NTA, and holy shit, this is a new level of psychological manipulation also. Would his serious allergy justify calling an ambulance, or there are meds to deal with that? NTA. What would possess someone to do this to themselves? I love dairy, but %. Also, if he can cry and whimper for you, then he can call an ambulance for himself if it's that bad. Edit to add. I'm so sorry op. This sounds like an awful situation for you and you deserve rest. NTA, next time he does it, call for an ambulance to get him to the hospital and see if he can be committed for a mental evaluation, since he's insisting on endangering himself. Either he actually needs psychological help, or facing a consequence greater than an upset stomach and an allergic reaction, which he is being a dumbass, gets through his selfish head. NTA, he's selfish by seeing you as a nurse. If he likes dairy so much he can take care of himself. Can someone link to the post a few weeks back from the guy who discovered his girlfriend writes fake AITA posts for fun? Please, can someone tell her to change her writing style up, because it's just so obvious now that it's fake. NTA, besides that, every 2 weeks doing this to you body is extremely unhealthy. You seem to not have a partner but a child who is in a power play with you. The absolute lack of consideration and appreciation for you. His mum said he could have had a life-threatening reaction due to your petty actions? So did he fail to mention to her him literally ordering in, while money is tight, and doing this to himself on purpose? NTA, he needs to grow up and deal with the consequences of his own actions, especially while his wife works 2 jobs to support him. You guys are meant to be a team. NTA. He admitted he was doing it on purpose. He clearly knows what he's doing and he plans for it. He's using you. He admitted he was only doing it on your days off intentionally, expecting you to dote on him. He's ignoring your needs, rest, for his wants. You warned him quite clearly that you wouldn't enable this behavior by babying him. When he was about to eat what he was allergic to, you warned him again. I'd rethink if you want to put up with this, especially after he threw a fit afterward, and since he brought other people into it. This sounds like Munchausen syndrome, except he said the quiet part out loud. You might want to talk to his doctor, because your husband needs a psych evaluation. NTA. I mean, he purposely made himself ill to monopolize your very limited time off taking care of him. I get that it's probably sucked for him that you haven't been present as a partner as much as he would like, but that's the reality of what your situation has to be right now and isn't an excuse for what he's done. I would tell everyone that it's not your fault he's decided he wants to flirt with death by eating dairy constantly even though you've told him not to.